There's a Firefly base close by. Be careful and stick together. Fuck those guys.
A lot of big news popped off since Friday because of course the weekend I leave all of this happens, but hit that like button if you can, as it always helps out the page, and let's just dive into all of this news. First story to take out the light news, but I still enjoy covering it always, is PlayStation Now. The service recently added a bunch of games with some big hitters with the likes of Borderlands The Handsome Collection and Rocket League. I'll leave the rest of the list up on the screen for you guys to comb over. And at this point, I'll be honest, everyone has Rocket League on everything, but it's still a solid addition to the collection of games on the service, so I'm happy that they added more games and they continue to add more games to the service, and hopefully it improves in latency over time. So let's see how that plays out. But jumping on to the next story, or into the next story, because there's a good chunk of news to cover here, so we're gonna try to go through everything in a reasonable amount of time. PlayStation 5 is on everyone's mind right now, and Sony has recently been talking. There's two stories on this topic. First one is that PlayStation boss Jim Ryan stated that Sony is looking into acquiring new video game studios with the following statement: "Content is becoming more important than ever." This is in reference to platforms like Stadia, Google Stadia, and as you guys all know, if you don't know, Stadia does not require a console but rather allows you to stream to basically anything with a screen. Sony realizes that going forward, content and not the console is what matters, and I personally hope they pick up studios like Insomniac, the people behind the latest Spider-Man game from last year, Spider-Man PS4, and or Kojima Productions, the people behind, obviously Kojima himself, behind the Metal Gear Solid franchise, but also the people behind Death Stranding, which is coming out later this year on the PlayStation 4. I personally think they would both fit nicely in the first party studio roster. As for the second story on this topic, which is the PlayStation 5, Sony is going to be putting a solid focus on big games going into next gen, which is pretty much what they did this gen in my opinion. And this comes from a Wall Street Journal report that reveals that Sony is planning on creating more relationships with big AAA studios, as well as continuing their output of high quality content from their own in-house studios. Basically, that Sony is focusing on the hardcore gamer going into next gen. There was also a whole thing with indie developers feeling essentially left out, which I'm not sure why. It's not as if Sony said indies are not welcome next gen on the PlayStation 5. They just want to put more emphasis on larger games, which I think is a solid strategy that they've also kind of implemented on the PS4 this gen with big juggernauts, as we've already seen. PS4 has a never-ending line of indie games on that topic on the platform, and I'm sure the PlayStation 5 will also be a great home for indie games as well. So I'm not sure why there's any issues with indie developers and Sony and their recent statement. So with the possibility of new studio acquisitions and more exclusives from third-party studios and their own in-house studios, Sony really isn't playing around next gen. Things are going to get heated next year, and I can't wait. I'm excited to see how things go down next year. E3 2020 is about to be a legendary E3. I'm excited to see what things come out of it. And now the final story of this video, PlayStation Plus. Some big news happened recently surrounding the service. First up, with the backlash from fans regarding the July free games for PlayStation Plus subscribers, which included originally Pro Evolution Soccer 2019 and Horizon Chase Turbo, Sony has decided to update their listing for July by switching Pro Evolution Soccer 2019 for Detroit Become Human, the Digital Deluxe Edition, which includes the heavy hitter Detroit Become Human, which was a juggernaut last year for PlayStation, the PlayStation 4, and another PlayStation classic from the PS3 era from the same studio, Heavy Rain. I've been saying this for some time, Sony reacts if enough fans make some noise, and this is another clear example of this situation. Detroit Become Human coming to the service is a nice surprise, and obviously we all welcome it, but that's not all that happened with PlayStation Plus recently. Sony has also revealed PlayStation Plus price reductions for many countries around the globe. Recent news reveals Sony is decreasing their subscription pricing for Oman, Saudi Arabia, Latin America, besides Brazil, and this all comes from users sharing their emails from Sony revealing this information. As an example, Oman's pricing went from $60 to $50 for a year, $24 to $21 for 3 months, and $10 to $8 for 1 month. Sony's reasoning for this price reduction is due to market conditions, which is a very vague reason, honestly, but hey, if you have an account from Latin America, you can get PlayStation Plus for a year for $39.99 US, so take advantage of this if you can and you're able to, or if you already have an account, and obviously you can always make an account. I'm not suggesting that, but you can make an account. This is also probably frustrating for some players, as Sony earlier this year announced price increases in many countries across Europe. So let me know your thoughts if you're one of the people from one of these European countries getting hit with the price increases. I want to know your thoughts on how you feel. But both the price increases and decreases will take effect starting August 1st, 2019. I live in Canada, and if anyone at Sony is listening, I wouldn't mind a price reduction over here as well. You know, if you can, when you get the time, whatever. In the end, what are your thoughts about Sony decreasing prices in some places and increasing prices in other places? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button, as it always helps out the page and I really appreciate it. And subscribe if you're new. I got new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And now, I'll check you guys out on the next one. And welcome back to the after show. This is the part of the video where we have a little fun down in the comments below. If you're old, welcome back. If you're new, welcome. For today's thing, what I want you guys to do is to body obliterate, destroy, harass, and incinerate the comment section with "Reduce my price, Sony." This is obviously in reference to the PlayStation Plus subscription prices, and some places getting a decrease. I'm hoping that, you know, maybe my place or your place is next to get a decrease. Obviously, we're in dreamland right now, but it's always fun to have these kind of thoughts. So destroy the comment section with "Reduce my price, Sony," and I'll definitely heart those comments like I always do, because I appreciate everybody who stays to the end of my videos. And now, I'll check you guys out on the next one.